Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good at which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset. And knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite as well that they should wrinkle up their eyes in grins, as have the milady in less attractive forms. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that truly be said of us and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, every one. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just, reading the last of A Christmas Carol. Given that it's Christmas. Anyway, welcome to my Christmas special, the double feature. Anyway, A Charlie Brown Christmas is available to stream on these platforms, and Mickey's Christmas Carol is available to stream on these platforms. Of course, if you own the DVDs to those Christmas specials, you can use those DVD specials. And of course, I will have a brief intermission, that way you can change your streaming platform to the respective Christmas specials. Anyway, hope you like my sweater, it's quite festive. Let's get to this double feature Christmas special. Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to Commentary Companions, and Merry Christmas! Welcome to my first ever double feature. For the first part of this Christmas double feature special, I am doing a commentary on A Charlie Brown Christmas, released in 1965. And, well, as you may know or may not know, as it was released 60 years ago, A Charlie Brown Christmas is the first official animated adaptation of the Peanuts comic strip. And coincidentally, this year, 2025, is also the 75th anniversary of when Peanuts was first published. Now, Charlie Brown Christmas is based on the Peanuts comic strip. Peanuts was first published on October 2nd, 1950, debuting in 7 U.S. newspapers, including Washington Post and Chicago Tribune. It was pretty much notable for introducing Charlie Brown, Patty, and Shermie. And, of course, it was pretty much, when you look at the early Peanuts comic strips, well, the characters look a bit off-model. It took Scholes a while to really create, well, to give the Peanuts gang their official look that we're also used to in the strips and cartoons. And, well, the Peanuts name was actually inspired by the 1950s cartoon Howdy Doody. I did not know this, but that's true. Also, Linus Van Pelt made his debut on September 19th, 1952. Snoopy's first appearance was on October 4th, 1950. And fun fact, Snoopy's full name is Snoopy Von Peanuts. I mean, who knew he had such a dignified name? And, yes, just a reminder, Snoopy is a beagle. But, oh no, let go of his, stop playing tug-of-war with him, Snoopy. Sorry, I'm just enjoying the music. The special's composer, Vince Guaraldi, composed every Peanuts special up to its Arbor Day Charlie Brown. And Arbor Day was his last collaboration with the Peanuts cartoons after his death in 1975. Violet made her first appearance on February 7th, 1951. Pigpen made his first appearance on July 13th, 1954. It's kind of weird seeing Snoopy's doghouse as blue, because, like a lot of you, I'm so used to his doghouse being red. It's so weird, almost. Now, Lucy made her debut on March 3rd, 1952, but before, she was like the older sister, it's like she used to be a toddler. In fact, Charles M. Schulz based Lucy off of his adopted daughter, Meredith, who also rides horses. Now, isn't that interesting? This instrumental piece that you're listening to right now is actually one of my favorites alongside the official theme in Christmas Time is Here. That I associate with Christmas. When viewing the rough cut of the show, both Bill Melendez and Lee Mendelson were convinced that they had a flop on their hands. After it premiered, they were happily surprised and shocked at the high ratings and excellent reviews that the show received. Today, the show remains the second longest-running Christmas special on the U.S. network television. The 1964 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer premiered 1 year earlier and is still broadcast every year on U.S. network television. And when they first saw the show, CBS executives were horrified at the idea of an animated Christmas special with such a blatant message. They also strongly objected to the fact that the show had no canned laughter. In addition, they greeted Vince Guaraldi's jazz score as an intrusion in the special that audiences would never accept. However, when CBS learned to their astonishment of the special's spectacular ratings and earned on its initial broadcast, and the glowing reviews for it, the network promptly contracted the producers for more specials. But yeah, I did not know that at one point CBS tried to make Mendelson and Melendez do like a laugh track for Charlie Brown Christmas. Because remember, back in the 60s and 70s, it was kind of a tradition to include a laugh track on cartoons. Like, Donny Osmond had his own cartoon in the 70s, and there was a laugh track on it. There were also a few Pink Panther cartoons that featured a laugh track, and it felt forced, and I can't imagine Charlie Brown Christmas with a laugh track. It would feel forced and just, not natural. You should be obligated to laugh on your own terms. You know? Just before her remarks about Christmas being a big commercial racket, Lucy refers to Charlie Brown simply as Charlie. This is the only time she does this in any of the TV specials. Every other time it's usually just Charlie Brown. Also, producer Lee Mendelson wrote the lyrics for Christmas Time Is Here music, and his son Glenn, along with his then 6th grade class, sang the vocals. Not long after the animation was finished, Tracy Stratford, who voices Lucy in this special, her voice broke, which is why she never voiced Lucy in another Peanuts special. When the completed special was first presented to the CBS executives, they promptly hated it. Their major complaints were that the pace was too slow, the jazz music didn't work with the special's tone, and that the animation was too simple, among other things. However, the special had to air, as CBS had already scheduled and promoted it. As Lee Mendelson later said, "I really believe that if it wasn't already scheduled to air the following week, there was no way they were ever going to broadcast that special." And of course, Charlie Brown Christmas is notable for winning an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program in 1966. And when it won, only Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez were called up to accept the award, but they made sure that Charles Schulz was with them to give the acceptance speech. Schulz's speech simply went, "Charlie Brown's not used to winning, so we thank you." Now, Charlie Brown's little sister, Sally, made her first appearance on August 23rd, 1959. Kathy Steenberg, who voices Sally, had not yet learned to read at the time of production, so she had to be fed her lines, often a word or syllable at a time, which explains the rather choppy delivery of the line, all I want is what I have coming to me. All I want is my fair share."
know, I think the choppy delivery is kind of cute. It does contribute to her innocence, almost. And of course, who could forget the group dance? Even though it's a limited animation, but it's got its own charm. It's so bad that we won't even see what it's like in the end. Ugh. Man's best friend indeed. I feel you, Charlie. I love Snoopy. I really do, but man, he is such a dick in this cartoon, and he's not really helpful. But I think Charlie Brown, no, I think Snoopy is at his most unhelpful in the A Boy Named Charlie Brown movie. But he's at his most helpful in Charlie Brown Christmas. I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back. Much as I love Snoopy. It's like, he could have been way nicer to Charlie in this. And of course, now we hear the official Peanuts theme, often known as A Charlie Brown Christmas. But it's actually known as Linus and Lucy. Linus and Lucy actually debuted in an unreleased documentary known as A Boy Named Charlie Brown. If the documentary had been released, it would have been the first official debut of Peanuts, but because Schultz and company couldn't get the funds, the documentary didn't get released until over 50 years later. I know it's called Linus and Lucy, but to me, I'm always going to call it the Peanuts theme. And I'm always going to see it as not a Christmas song, but I'm always going to see it as the official theme song of the Peanuts. But, I don't mind listening to it on the radio every Christmas. But I'm going to call it the Peanuts theme, not a Charlie Brown Christmas theme. Frida made her first appearance on March 6, 1961. And I think this is the only appearance of Shermie because he would eventually get written out. Hey, it's a sheepdog. Cow dog. Penguins weren't in the nativity. Now, A Charlie Brown Christmas broke many of the rules prevalent for animated holiday specials during the 1960s. It didn't make use of a laugh track, like I mentioned. Real children were used for the character voices instead of adult actors in imitating children's voices, and biblical references were used to illustrate the true meaning of Christmas. And Snoopy's like, you didn't taste as good either. Also, what's crazy is that none of the children who voiced the characters received credit at the end. And production ended 10 days before it premiered. Over the decades, with American TV networks making more broadcast time for commercials, this special was increasingly cut for time until there was a storm of protest from fans. When the special was acquired by the ABC TV network, a compromise was reached to both answer those complaints and to take advantage of the opportunity to sell more advertising time for a reliably high-rated annual rerun. This consisted of broadcasting an uncut version of the special in an hour time slot, and using the remaining time after the special to run a companion piece, Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales. Oh, look at the passion as he raises his arms that Schroeder does. It's interesting. I can never tell whether... the weirdest part is we can never tell if Schroeder's name is his first or his last. But Schroeder made his first appearance on May 30th, 1951. That's a nice creative compromise. Very nice. The original broadcast included some brief animated sections which included the logo of Coca-Cola, the show's original sponsor. These have been edited out of subsequent broadcasts and a video release. Right after the opening title, Linus crashed into a sign advertising Coca-Cola after being tossed by Snoopy. If you look at the current versions, you'll notice that we never see where Linus lands. Well, yep, time to feed the dog. Like I was saying, the closing carol originally included the complete verse instead of fading out, with a final on-screen "Merry Christmas" from your local bottler of Coca-Cola right after the United Feature Syndicate credit at the end. At one point, Lucy mocks Linus' security blanket, asking him what he plans to do with it when he's older, to which Linus smugly replies, "Maybe I'll turn it into a sport coat." In one Peanut strip series, Linus tried to kick his blanket habit by giving it to Snoopy to keep it away from Linus, and Snoopy ended up turning the blanket into a sport coat. That's hilariously ironic. Interesting. It's like they actually edited that from the late 60s until the 1970s. CBS left out the scene where the king throws snowballs at a can on a fence. This caused a false rumor to spread that the scene was cut due to the can being a Coca-Cola can. In reality, it was actually cut to squeeze in more commercial time. Go figure. The Paramount and Warner Video releases are complete and unedited. In fact, the special that I'm using is pretty much completely uncut, which I'm glad. Interestingly, the rock music group Jefferson Airplane wanted autographs from all the kids who voiced the characters. That's actually one of the few times Lucy has been helpful. Oof, that's very mean of you, Patty. But interestingly enough, her name's Patty, but she's not Peppermint Patty. Patty and Peppermint Patty are two completely different characters. Patty made her first appearance on October 2nd, 1950, alongside Charlie Brown. I love this. I love that jazzy take on O Tannenbaum. This special helped bring an end to the brief fad of aluminum Christmas trees, which had been going on since 1958 when it portrayed them in a negative light as part of the over-commercialization of the holiday. I mean, personally, I kind of like those plastic trees, plus you can reuse it. But that little Charlie Brown Christmas tree with the red ornament remains timeless and iconic. The idea of A Charlie Brown Christmas was given by John Allen, who worked for an ad agency for Coca-Cola, as he called Lee Mendelson. He originally saw the documentary that was canceled to be broadcast because he was unable to sell it. He asked Mendelson if the producers of Peanuts thought about making a Christmas special. Mendelson admittedly lied, saying, "Of course we have." Allen then asked for an outline of the special to be presented in 4 days. After this conversation, Mendelson promptly called Charles Schulz and said to him, "I just sold A Charlie Brown Christmas." Schulz asked, "What's that?" And Mendelson said, "That's a new show you and I have to come up with this weekend." Mendelson later recalled a long pause of silence before Schulz responded very casually, "Okay, we could do it." Also, Charlie Brown's session at Lucy's psychiatry stand was taken from a Sunday strip that could be found in the Peanuts collection, We're Right Behind You, Charlie Brown, which was first published in 1964. In the strip, it is Linus, not Charlie Brown, seeking help, and after he remarks that the only thing keeping me going is my blanket, I need help. The exchange about phobias between him and Lucy is virtually identical to the one in the TV special. Also, yeah, this is the first Peanuts special produced and directed by Bill Melendez, who also voices Snoopy. And the fact that he's Latino, I respect that. Both the comic strip and the first two animated specials showcase Charles M. Schulz's ability to present 6- and 7-year-old characters who spoke and acted like adults, while still preserving their naivete and innocence. This core aspect is what allowed for unlimited comic situations and appealed to such a broad range of readers and viewers, ensuring its success for decades, which is why it's been so iconic to people around my parents' age and people around my age as well. Charlie Brown's director's speech was based on a Sunday Peanuts strip published around 1960, which can be found in the Peanuts Every Sunday collection. Instead of explaining his directorial signals for the Christmas play, Charlie is explaining his managerial signals to the baseball team in his living room. It ends similarly, with the team going off to watch television before he finishes. Womp womp. Also, when A Charlie Brown Christmas was broadcast in Canada it was originally broadcasted in black and white. Now, isn't that strange? Along with the other entries listed here describing the difficulties with getting the show on the air are, Schulz is concerned about the ability of the animators to create the look and feel of his original comic strip. Having an animated special about children, featuring child actors, which was revolutionary at the time, and the overt Christian message in Linus's speech, which had both producers and the Coca-Cola sponsors on edge. If Charles Schulz had his way, the Peanuts comic strip would have been Little Folks, but that name was taken. And now here comes the definitive part of A Charlie Brown Christmas, the riskiest part. In fact, Bill Melendez tried to talk Charles M. Schulz out of using biblical references, especially Linus's speech in the special. Schulz reportedly won him over by saying, "If we don't do it, who will?" As it turned out, Linus's recitation was hailed as one of the most powerful moments in the highly acclaimed special. In the comic strip, one of the recurring early themes was Linus's fear of reciting his biblical passages in the Christmas pageant. Yeah. I mean, the child actor voicing Linus does such a great job with it. And I like that throughout it, he doesn't hold his security blanket. It's heartfelt and genuine. And they all follow him. Not before, of course, getting their coats. Well, Linus doesn't need to. Yeah, this is very... I love how it's... sorry, it's just... This is my second time watching it this year. First time I watched it on my own. Second time watching this while recording all of this. A Star of Bethlehem. Yeah, I love that Linus's speech positively motivates Charlie Brown. He's so giddy, he's skipping. I think I know why it was blue, to help clash against all the other Christmas colors. At least he didn't use the star at first. It probably would have weighted down even more. Also, it's kind of funny how the song abruptly ends as it droops down. But yeah, that little Christmas tree is also a definitive part of the special's identity. Yeah, and Linus does stick up for Charlie Brown. Yeah, a little love. Even Lucy's convinced, as well as the others. And I like that Snoopy's totally cool with it. And so they start singing Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And it's such a sweet moment because they all come together for this, to make Charlie feel happy. He does a double flip. And so, yeah, this is actually, I think, one of my first introductions to the song Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And and that was A Charlie Brown Christmas. 60 years old, and I think it remains, while it is a product of the 1960s, it still manages to feel iconic as well, and timeless. And I can understand why so many families do such insist on watching this no matter what. And I love that it's created such a fan community that they go out of their way to try and make sure that it remains seen by other audiences, both today and tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, that was my commentary for A Charlie Brown Christmas. And now, for a brief intermission as I start to get ready for the commentary, the second part of this double feature, that being Mickey's Christmas Carol. While I do that, I'll pretty much sing you a little bit of a Christmas ditty. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man. But you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Okay, I'm about to start my commentary on Mickey's Christmas Carol in a 3, a 2, a 1. Well, I'm not going to do the usual welcome to commentary slogan because, I pretty much already started it. But now, I hope you're ready because now we're doing Mickey's Christmas Carol. Now, Mickey's Christmas Carol is one of the first of many Christmas Carol adaptations that Disney would oversee. And it's actually interesting because it was made during a very uncertain time for the company. It was uncertain for things were very uncertain for Disney at the time. They were dealing with a lot of financial failures. It was kind of like a dark era for the Walt Disney Company. The future was uncertain, and the people at Disney were unsure if they would be able to ever survive the animation area. I mean, they were successful with Disneyland, and they were also successful with Walt Disney World, but financially, they were very concerned of what would happen next. Also, yeah, it was when the short's director Bunny Mattinson pitched the idea to Disney CEO Ron Miller. Miller was at first Miller was all angry at this idea of a Christmas Carol, but then he just dropped the act and clapped because he loved the idea of a Mickey Mouse version of a Christmas Carol, and he gave Cartwright the go-ahead to do it. Ron Miller, who was the CEO of Disney at the time, oversaw and approved Mickey's Christmas Carol. He was Walt's son-in-law and played for the Los Angeles Rams for the NFL in 1961. And he was also the founder of Touchstone Pictures. And before directing Mickey's Christmas Carol, Bunny Mattinson did animation for Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, A Sword and Stone, Mary Poppins, Jungle Book, Aristocats, Robin Hood, and The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And Mickey's Christmas Carol is notable for featuring so many future rock stars of the Disney era. John Lasseter animated Scrooge McDuck, Mickey, and Goofy for the short. Of course, he went uncredited for it. And Glenn Keane, best known for animating Ariel, Beast, Aladdin, and Tarzan, helped with Goofy too. And of course, this is also the first official time Wayne Allwine would voice Mickey for a short after doing several promotional shorts. And Mickey's Christmas Carol is notable for being the first theatrical Mickey Mouse cartoon ever done since that was ever theatrically released since The Simple Things in 1953. Scrooge McDuck made his debut in a comic book, specifically Christmas on Bear Mountain, featured in 4-color comics number 178, published by Dell Comics in December of 1947. He was originally supposed to be a one-off antagonist for Donald Duck, but he started becoming a recurring character in the comics. Scrooge McDuck would make his first animated appearance in a 1967 featurette known as Scrooge McDuck and Money. He was created by Carl Barks. And this was also the first official time Alan Young would voice Scrooge McDuck in a cartoon after doing record recordings. Also, Mickey's Christmas Carol would be the last time in which Clarence Nash would ever voice Donald Duck. Clarence Nash had voiced Donald Duck since 1934. And, well, he held the record for voicing Donald the longest for around 49 years. Almost second to Mel Blanc. Mel voiced Porky Pig and Daffy Duck for over 50 years before his death in 1989. But, yeah, it's so nice to hear Clarence Nash as Donald Duck. Nice cover-up, Bob. Originally, Alan Young was not considered for Scrooge, despite having played it in the album recording. Reportedly, it was because Walt Disney Productions believed he would not agree to do a voiceover for an animated film. However, when Young learned about the film in production from a friend preparing to audition for the lead, he contacted the film company to request an audition. The resulting audition was successful, and Young learned about the studio's reason for not contacting him. In reaction, Young responded, "Hey, I worked in television for 5 years with a talking horse. At this point in my career, nothing's beneath me." Young was praised for the role and continued to voice Scrooge McDuck throughout his life up until 2016. Rest in peace, Alan Young. Hey, look. It's the rat and mole from Wind in the Willows. Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Of course, the theatrical release of this film was as part of the 1983 reissue of The Rescuers. Of all the songs on the original album, only Oh What a Merry Christmas Day made it to the animated cartoon. The rest of them, including one song by Ebenezer Scrooge that was called How Christmas ought to be, were all dropped and the lyrics were rendered into normal dialogue. Oof. Oh, poor Mole. The opening scene is apparently modeled on a Karl Barks painting called The Season to be Jolly, which features Uncle Scrooge walking down the street with a bag of money on his back. But yeah, this is also technically the first time Alan Young provides the voice of Scrooge McDuck in animation. Bill Thompson, who had done the voice in Scrooge McDuck and Money, had passed away, and Alan Young's voice is noticeably softer than Thompson's was, with a stronger Scots accent. I love how smooth Mickey's animation is in that scene as he jumps out of his chair. Ironically, when Alan Young passed away, he was buried at sea. Like the US release, which paired this short with a reissue of The Rescuers, all releases of this short were paired up with reissues of various Disney animated features over the years. In France and West Germany, for example, it was paired with reissues of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, while in the UK and Italy, it was paired with a reissue of The Jungle Book. Also, interestingly, Pluto is the only member of the Disney Super Six who is not in the film. I did sort of notice that. Also, Mickey's Christmas Carol was the last theatrical Disney project that only had opening credits and had no end credits. Tony Anselmo, Clarence Nash's successor as the voice of Donald Duck, was an animation trainee for the short, but he went uncredited. Other uncredited animators who became future Disney directors for so many hits were Chris Buck, Brad Bird, John Musker, and Ron Clements. Yep, Clements, well, I'll tell you later, but John Musker would assisted on Scrooge and Mickey. And Mark Henn, best known for animating Ariel, Belle, Young Simba, and Mulan, helped co-animate Mickey Mouse alongside Glenn Keane and John Lasseter. Oh wait, no, I don't think Glenn Keane worked on Mickey, but he did help with Goofy. He totally helped animate Goofy. Also, it's kind of weird not hearing Bill Farmer as Goofy. In this cartoon, Goofy is voiced by Hal Smith, who was known for who was very much a frequent collaborator on many Disney shorts. He was the original voice of Owl on The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and he also voiced, he was actually the in-between voice actor for Sterling Holloway and Jim Cummings. Yeah, Hal Smith voiced Winnie the Pooh after Sterling Holloway, but before Jim Cummings in Welcome to Pooh Corner, an obscure Disney Channel cartoon. Oh, I love that prideful smile until he realizes, no, I was wrong. These are the chains I forged in life. And he's shaking the piggy bank. You're holding two fingers, Goofy. I mean, Jacob. I think Goofy and Statler and Waldorf are the funniest adaptations of Jacob Marley. I like this idea that Jacob Marley was a greedy bastard, but also a klutz. Pardon me, I'm just admiring the animation. But yeah, before he voiced Mickey Mouse, Wayne Allwine was a sound effects guy, and he also did uncredited sound effects work for Mickey's Christmas Carol. Never forget your roots. And there's Jiminy Cricket as the ghost of Christmas past. And this version of Jiminy Cricket is voiced by Eddie Carroll, and he actually does a very nice, very good impression of Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket. Before Eddie Carroll was the official voice of Jiminy Cricket in the 1970s, Clarence Nash was also voiced Jiminy Cricket after Cliff Edwards passed away for a brief period of time from 1971 to 73. A little too tight. Yeah. Yep. I think Jiminy Cricket might be the shortest Ghost of Christmas Past. Oof. I think Mickey's Christmas Carol has the sassiest version of the Ghost of Christmas Past. But it's a shame that they couldn't include seeing Scrooge as a child and his lonely Christmases and Fan. But also it's interesting how Fezziwig in this version is played by Mr. Toad from Wind in the Willows. Pretty decently cast. And most of these supporting players are from Robin Hood. Oh, there's Horace and Clarabelle. Yeah, I think, rewatching this, of all the versions of The Ghost of Christmas Past, I think this Mickey's Christmas Carol has the most passive-aggressive version of Ghost of Christmas Past. I mean, oh, there's Chip and Dale. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Yep. And you learn to be a heartbreaker as well. I know it's technically Daisy Duck, but I think I could see her as a separate character from Daisy as well. Ooh, he broke her heart like that. And I take my release of you. Yep, do not blame me for this. And so the second hour. Come in and know me better, man. Yeah, never forget that. Never forget that passive aggressiveness goes to Christmas present. Voice actor Will Ryan came up with the idea to recreate Willie the Giant's flub of the word pistachio from Mickey and the Beanstalk. And Mickey and the Beanstalk was featured in the anthology movie Fun and Fancy Free, which is notable for being the last time Walt Disney would ever voice Mickey Mouse. Yeah. It actually does feel appropriate to have Willie the Giant be the Ghost of Christmas Present, since the Ghost of Christmas Present is often described as a giant, and I do love these visual gags. It's funny because usually the Ghost of Christmas Present is never seen. Like the other people don't see him. Now, Minnie Mouse was supposed to have speaking lines, and she would have been voiced by the late Russi Taylor, but her lines were cut. To Mr. Scrooge. Yep, it was John Musker who assisted on animating. Oh, no. It was Ron Clements who animated Tiny Tim. To Mr. Scrooge, I give you the founder of the feast. But if he is to die, he better do it and decrease the surplus population. Well, I think that's the least scariest time he ever, the Ghost of Christmas Present kicked the bucket. And so, we are now introduced to the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, or the Ghost of Christmas Future. I prefer calling him the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Yep, Glenn Keane also helped animate Pete as the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And we have one of the saddest moments. And it's... yeah, I got nothing. This is perfect. Oh, my dear, poor little boy. Well, let me try. Oh, my dear, poor little boy. And there's the weasels. I think they were from Robin Hood. Oh, no. They were in Wind of the Willows as well. I can actually see Scrooge's name in the mist because of the HD rendition. Also, yes, this is one of the very few versions of A Christmas Carol where the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come actually speaks to Scrooge. I mean, I've read the book. The ghost of Christmas Yet to Come does not speak, but what he lacks in words, he makes up for in getting his point across to what will happen if Scrooge doesn't change his ways. I mean, it's perfect for a kid's cartoon to have the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come speak. But you get the point. But I think the Tasmanian Devil was the funniest version of Ghost of Christmas Future. Incidentally, I think he was voiced by Jim Cummings. I'll have to check. Ooh, I love that pleasant animation of the birds flying. That's funny. Yep, Jim Cummings did voice the Tasmanian Devil as the Ghost of Christmas Future in Bah Humduck, which is the Looney Tunes equivalent to A Christmas Carol. I remember seeing that on Cartoon Network. I'm trying my best to not. Of course, it's so hard to not compare Mickey's Christmas Carol to Bah Humduck. Hold on, let me get a Christmas Carol book. Where'd I put that darn book? Yep. And that's the horse from Sleepy Hollow. Rest in peace, Clarence Nash. We miss ya. Where'd I put it? Pretending to be all grumpy. Also, it's just he's just pretending to be grumpy in front of Tiny Tim. Also, it's so funny seeing Scrooge so Scrooge ends up breaking down. Also, it's so sweet that Tim was got the last word. And he was second father to Tim. Yeah, as you can tell, I've read A Christmas Carol so many times. But yeah, this was definitely the short that Disney needed to kind of help them get move along. And, well, yeah, it remains one of the most wholesome... Christmas specials ever made that Disney ever produced. And I have a soft spot for it, too. I do like watching it every now and then. I do believe it was also nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Short. Let me check, because, yeah, now it's over. Technically, the short itself is over. Yes, it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Short in 1984, but lost to Jimmy Picker's Sunday in New York. It was also the first nomination for a Mickey Mouse short since Mickey and the Seal. But yeah, that was my double feature Christmas special. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. And I hope you also have a great Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate in whatever culture. And, well, yeah. Thanks for listening to my double feature. Don't have a good day, have a great day.